So he was rigid, but bit by bit, he learned to be more flexible, he learned to be more resilient.
Welcome to Shared Steps, the RDI journey. I'm Genevieve. Here we explore real conversations and meaningful insights about supporting neurodivergent children and families. Today I'm joined by Christina, an RDI consultant and a parent herself. Christina has this wonderful way of making the RDI journey feel human and attainable. She understands the challenges families face, and she's walked the process with them. Her blend of professional experience and lived wisdom makes every conversation with her feel meaningful. So let's get started. Hi Christina, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Genevieve, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know, you've walked this journey as both a parent and a consultant. So what first led you to RDI?
So I was first introduced to RDI in Jakarta, not in Singapore, right? I was at that time living in Jakarta. I have my first two kids. So in 2017, there was a consultant who worked with my son. She kind of very patient, very nurturing for us. And then later we moved to Singapore and we did continue RDI under another consultant. And when I continue to learn more about RDI, I feel like it really resonated with its guiding principle. Yeah, that parents basically are the guides, and for me, it just make a lot of sense. So at that time, my biggest longing, right, wasn't only to see my boy able to to follow instructions or complete certain tasks with the therapist, but he couldn't like really relate with me. But I was really longing for a connection with him between the parent and child, for him to really look into me and to learn from me and to enjoy being with me. So in fact, my boy, right, who now he is 11, when he was around 2, 3 years old, he didn't respond to his name. He didn't point. He had like zero eye contact, and he really has no meaningful communication at all. So, and he was like refusing to engage with me. Like I remember during his N1 N2 time, he has homework and he refused to like do his homework with me. I'm like very, very sad. But after we started RDI, basically things began to change and he began to take my guidance. So I'm basically feel that RDI gave my lost boy back to me.
That's such a nice way of putting it.
Through RDI, I really felt empowered that as a parent, right, I finally could guide and I can teach my son and, well, about almost anything in life, right? I realized that autism, well, doesn't have to be limiting for like a special need family like us to, although we are special needs, but we can have healthy family relationship and we can even help our kids to reach their full potential. So then after that, I decided to pursue RDI training. I completed the training in 2020. So it was really good, so I can help my son and I can share my knowledge with other family as well.
Okay, that's such a lovely motivation to be able to share your experience and your knowledge with other families. So from a parent's perspective, what did RDI give you that other approaches did not?
For me, RDI gave two things that other approach didn't. The first one, it restored our relationship. And the second one, I feel that RDI gave us the key to my son's mental growth, which is the dynamic thinking, which is the heart of RDI. Before we tried RDI, right, we tried all kinds of therapies, like almost 5 days a week at different centers, like in Indonesia and in Singapore. They did taught my son like specific skills, like, matching, requesting, and all that, but they didn't really teach me how to guide him. And I felt my boy, as I shared, could follow the instructions, but he doesn't want to connect or to really engage with me. And at certain point, he was avoiding me because at the time I was anxious, I was yelling and all that, right? So when we came to RDI, the RDI put parents at the center of the intervention. Firstly, they will teach parents, educate parents like how to restore ourselves and how to restore our role and to be emotionally healed and to be available, which previously we are not aware of. So I was that time struggling with my anger, with burnout, because I at that time I also got the diagnosis of my second child. Basically, I have two special needs. It was very hard for me, but my RDI consultant like helped me to heal and to slowly but surely try to be connecting to my boy. So we kind of started small by slowing down. Firstly, we built the connection. I try to guide through like some opportunities in my daily life. And so that moved me to the dynamic intelligence part. So my son used to be like very rigid. He even cried when we took different route to our home. If we do a morning walk, then we took different route, he will cry. If we take different bus, like different number of bus, he will cry. He basically very rigid. And he has a lot of like sensory issues. For example, noise or lights. When people say happy birthday in some random restaurant, he will like cry. When he heard like loud sound in the speaker, he would like melt down. It was tough. So he was rigid, but bit by bit, he learned to be more flexible. He learned to be more resilient by RDI. If we fast forward to today, now he is 11. He is basically in primary 5. And this year, right, we kind of, okay, let's try to join a robotic competition because he has interest in robotics. And he joined a team consisting of neurotypical peers in one of the center. And he kind of persevere, although, competition is hard. He has to learn to present. He has to learn to work with a team. He has to manage the stress to, performing tasks under pressure. He has to also learn to cope with failure, right? So although his team didn't win, but we feel like the experience was priceless, and I'm very proud of him because he persevered through all those challenges. I'm very proud. So I feel like RDI, like knowing RDI since he was young, has equipped him to be more flexible, to be more persevering. He is still work in progress, and me too. We still do like we have a lot of conflict from time to time, but we are very hopeful, basically.
And I think you brought up two very important points. First, from the perspective of a parent, for a lot of us parents, we're not perfect. We're going to lose it every now and then. But we also need to learn how to take care of ourselves and learn how to be kind to ourselves and not be too hard on ourselves and work on our own emotions as well. Because although our kids may not be able to identify, like, oh, yeah, mom's feeling emotional, so and her emotions are impacting me. But our emotions do. A lot of people always think kids on the spectrum, they have no empathy, but sometimes they actually feel too much, and that's why it can overwhelm them. So I think your point about parents taking care of themselves and managing their own emotions is such an important one to raise.
Yes, exactly. I hope more parents can realize this. When we started and we hear our child diagnosis, then usually we will put all of our resources, all of our time for the kids. But in fact, parents needs to heal first before we can help them.
The other point that you raised that I really like a lot is that a lot of times we only look at the static intelligence, the static skills, teaching our kids to read, to write. And yes, all that is very important. But what you just described, the experience with the robotic competition, it shows the dynamic processes are also very important, because otherwise he would not have the resilience to cope with all the challenges. He will not have the opportunity to learn from all those experiences of working, interacting with other kids in the team, do presentation, which takes a lot of courage even for all of us. And even when it comes to losing, a lot of our kids can have difficulty handling mistakes and losses. So you're right, it's such a valuable experience for him, and he would not have been able to do that if you had not built in all that resilience.
Yes, yes, exactly. As we know, kids with autism, even when we introduce new toy, like I mean, when he was small, he will feel anxious. Even if we try to get him in a new so-called attraction rides in, say, theme parks, they will feel anxious. At this stage, he is now willing to try new things. Then he is trying to learn outside of his comfort zone. I'm very grateful.
As a consultant in the past, how do you use your own experience with your son to support and encourage other families?
Often when I speak with the family and I guide them, I will try to offer empathy, and I'll try my best to be patient with them because I know what it's like to be in their shoes. I mean, I started RDI when I was at my lowest point, and at that time we were like tired, we were anxious, and we were doubting like if progress ever come. Basically, if we try a method one time, oh, it doesn't work, sometimes we can give up. But when I see struggling parents, I can tell them, you know what, when I started RDI, I really struggled too. I failed too, and it take times too. But for us, because RDI, basically we are trying to change their brain. To change their brain, it will take time. It will really take perseverance, and I will tell them, bro, I know how hard this is, and I offer my empathy, but really the progress is worth it. Another thing that I would like to always remind myself and the parents is that when hard times comes, we remember this, that your child isn't giving you a hard time, but actually they are having a hard time. When they are being tough, okay, they are not trying to give you a hard time, really, but it's they themselves having a hard time. That shifting my mindset, and it helped me to see past their behaviors and kind of consider their vulnerabilities instead. Encourage parents, right, to be kind to ourselves, and let's not expect perfection, not from our child, from ourselves. And we can even share openly if we have challenges, like we can say sorry if we do mistakes. Every mistake is just another learning moment, opportunity to grow. So basically never give up.
And that's such an important thing to keep in mind, right? That even in mistakes, in fact, sometimes it is the mistakes that help us grow. Because if everything is smooth sailing, where is there opportunity for growth? So that's such an important distinction to make.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So if you could go back and tell your younger self all those years ago when you first started RDI, if you could tell yourself one thing, what would that one thing be?
Be kind to yourself. Okay, that's the one thing I will say. Be kind to yourself. If we derive down from that, then that means like you can be kind. Be kind with your health. Be kind with your time. Be kind with your mistakes. If you are at the beginning of your journey, you are depressed or feeling lost, it's okay. You have time. You don't have to be very anxious. You can do this. You are stronger than you think. My experience was when we started RDI, I was in long distance relationship with my husband. Okay, basically he was working in Singapore. I was in Jakarta, so it was hard for me, and I was depressed and all that. And the depression kind of affected my health, my emotional health. I will say, if you are in like difficult situation like me, yes, your child is important, but also prioritize your emotional health. Remember your self-care and prioritize your marriage. So that's, I think, basically what I would love to say to my younger self. And like, believe in yourself, and it's okay to make mistakes, and don't forget to enjoy the small moments. Because the kids' childhood will pass, so do enjoy them.
And that's such good advice. So what do you hope parents and professionals can take away from this conversation?
So I hope parents can start to claim your role as the guide to your child. I hope that parents can realize that parent-child relationship is basically one of the most powerful intervention, and it may be difficult at the beginning if your situation was like me at the past, but if you really can work on it, you can afford the time, you can afford to slow down, you will experience the joy. I hope you will experience the joy. And for professionals, I really hope that professional can start to empower parents as well, and not just training the child, because when you start to mentor the parents, they will eventually work on the child 7 days a week, not only 1 hour per week, right? I hope you can be patient, because there may be a lot of difficult parents like me in the past that don't give up. Yeah, if the family don't do your homework for this week, doesn't mean that they ignore it. Some family may have limitations, like hope they will do this in the future, right? They will learn and still do it. I feel that when we empower parents and they are confident and they are competent, then the child progress and growth will basically be exponential.
So, if someone is listening today and they want to take one step, what would you suggest?
Okay, the first step for me that was very useful was slowing down. It's like the most simple advice, but it's like the most powerful. Yeah, because if you are overwhelmed, you are anxious, or constantly rushing, you cannot be available for your child. Although, I mean, we now live in Singapore, and in Singapore everything moves really fast, but for our vulnerable kids, especially those with autism, they kind of need us to move at their pace. They really need time to comprehend things and to think. To rush them, or even for us to give them like louder instructions and repeated instruction and packing too many therapies, that can actually increase their anxieties. And slowing down is powerful. It helps us to think clearly. It helps parents to choose our words wisely, and for us to stay emotionally available. And it really gives the kids also time to process, to think, to respond. And literally slowing down can mean to talk slower, to move slower, and don't overschedule. And when you are slowing down, you basically make room for growth, because when they start to think, they will start to grow. And when you slow down today, let's believe that we can accelerate real growth.
Your point about overscheduling, that's such an important one. Where a lot of parents, when we first get the diagnosis, we're anxious, we're scared. So we feel that we have to do as much as possible in order to help our child as much as possible. But sometimes the as much as possible ends up being counterproductive. Because like what you said, the kids are overscheduled, then parents end up exhausted, kids end up exhausted, and everybody's stressed.
Yeah, when we overschedule, there's no energy or time or resources left for us to basically work with the kids and for them to really engage with us. Yeah.
So, what gives you hope for the future for the children and families walking along this path?
I imagine for the RDI families to be restored, to finally enjoy each other again. I can visualize, like I can envision the children who find joy in learning from their parents, and parents who delight in seeing their kids' connection and curiosity to grow. Yes, we may be special needs families, right? We are different, but we can still be live a joyful life. We can still have a meaningful life, and we believe that our kids can go on to achieve things that once we thought is impossible, because their dynamic intelligence began to grow. I believe that our human brain can always change, and growth is always possible, because the brain is amazingly plastic. And we believe that autism is not like fixed. When we focus on connection and dynamic growth, we can see that children like my children they move from rigidity to confidence, and they can become competent too. I really hope to see more restorations in families, in special need families, to happen when the parents take charge and rebuild that guiding relationship. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's such a wonderful hope and such a nice aspiration to have for families to get connected again and build their relationship.
That's right. Enjoy your RDI journey.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us today. It has been so insightful and so helpful to hear from the perspective of a parent and a consultant.
Thank you very much, Genevieve, for having me, and all the best for all the families here.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Shared Steps, the RDI Journey. If you found today's conversation meaningful, I'd love for you to follow or subscribe so you won't miss the next episode. And if you know a parent or professional who might benefit from understanding RDI a little deeper, please share this podcast with them. Every small step helps us spread awareness across Southeast Asia and beyond. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to having you with me in the next episode.